today's starting lineup brought to you by Capital One. Sarah Scalia has had a terrific year, also a senior on this team. Sydney Parrish, an Oregon transfer, and the usual starting five for South Carolina. Pow has been tremendous. Another Oregon transfer, and Cardozo getting ready. And you see the height advantage over Mackenzie Holmes, and we are underway. South Carolina, the #1 overall seed, doesn't take long to get the shot and to break out on top. It's Bree Hall. She's been somewhat of an unsung hero for this team, but gosh, they're so deep. Terry Morin, the head coach for Indiana, as Holmes takes the shot. Terry Morin says they don't have a starting 5, they have a starting 10. Follow shot good by Sydney Parrish.
Well, what a sign already for South Carolina. Bree Hall has struggled at times from the three-point line. Knocks down one to start this ball game, and here's another! Tahina Pow. Just what we discussed in the open, the difference in this year's South Carolina team, their ability to knock it down from the three-point line.
They lost in the Final Four, in the national semifinal to Iowa. Last year, they were unbeaten, but they missed 16 of their 23s in that game. Whole different story this season. With 5 new starters. Raven Johnson bringing the ball up. Second team all-conference this year for South Carolina. Holmes with the unenviable task of trying to stop Cardozo. Relentless defense led by Ashlyn Watkins. Pow, oh, she was just getting ready to pull it, but Michael McConnell blows his whistle.
Well, right from the opening tip, Bree Hall knocking down a 3. Tahina Pow, you go under the screen. I'm going to show you the bottom of the net. The game plan for this Indiana Hoosiers team is going to be in the gap. Shallow, short closeouts, go under screens, force South Carolina to consistently knock down three-point shots, and they come out hot.
South Carolina on the season, averaging their most threes under Dawn Staley since she has been there. Cardozo again. South Carolina with 10 points in the first couple of minutes. Holmes driving it. Outside shot. Indiana's going to have to hit these. That's Garzone. Garzone, the sophomore from Israel. Started every game of her career, now in her second season in Bloomington. Watkins chased it down, but she was out of bounds. Hoosier basketball. On the left, Dawn Staley, enough said. Has a couple of national championships with this team, and Terry Morin's done a tremendous job reviving this Indiana program.
Yeah, she really has. And an Indiana team who we mentioned upset on their home floor a year ago. Their mission has been to get to this point.
Indiana was a #1 seed, lost in the second round to Miami, which went to a spectacular Elite 8 run under Katie Meyer. Second chance. Johnson. Here's Pow. Held out there by Garzone. The kick by Holmes will put 4 seconds back onto the shot clock. Indiana coming in after a tough win against Oklahoma in the second round. Pow with the miss, where South Carolina cruised, beating North Carolina in their last game. Garzone, wide right. Johnson with the drive, left it short. Nolan McNeil, the point guard, comes up with it. And now Holmes, she doesn't have Cardozo on her. Instead, it's Watkins who slammed the ball down after the foul call. Holmes was asking for perhaps a technical foul there, but none coming.
Well, that's a great recognition by Indiana, trying to get Mackenzie Holmes a touch on the low block with Ashlyn Watkins. Now, Ashlyn Watkins is an outstanding defender, can block shots, so Holmes using her body.
No Hoosiers on the free throw line. As Holmes knocks it down. Kenzie, unanimous first team, all Big Ten performers, made some All-American teams this season as well. Now Chloe Kitts comes in for Watkins. Ashlyn Watkins coming off the bench for some games with Dawn Staley, who actually followed her down the bench to continue talking to Ashlyn. When Dawn Staley speaks, people listen.
Yeah, I think so. And how about, Terry Moore mentioned it, that Dawn Staley basically has 10 starters, but Chloe Kitts had been starting for much of the season. Ashlyn Watkins in the postseason in the starting lineup, but Chloe Kitts has been outstanding in the NCAA tournament.
Coming off the bench for them. Coach Staley said that she took the news of not starting very well. That is a travel Scalia couldn't quite get going.
And I love that matchup, putting Bree Hall on Sarah Scalia, utilizing her length. She's going to be able to get back in plays because they're going to run Sarah Scalia off of multiple screens every time down the floor, and Bree Hall can use that length to get back into play if she gets clipped.
We'll give Mackenzie Holmes a little bit of a break. Lily Meister, a sophomore from Rochester, Minnesota, comes in to spell her. Taken away by Moore McNeil. Challenging Kitts, gets it over where it is left short by Parrish. But another offensive rebound for Indiana. But Meister stepped out of bounds.
Missed opportunities for Indiana. One of the things when you're playing a team like South Carolina and you're trying to slay a giant right here, right? You got to be able to convert when they give you opportunities. You get stops, you've got to be able to get scores. It's not good enough just to play good defense. You got to be able to score the basketball as well.
One of the keys certainly for Coach Moore. South Carolina up to the early three-point lead. Hall drives against Meister. Good defense by the sophomore. Now here comes Parrish. Good box out by Fagan. Fagan from Pow. Good box. Sydney Parrish with a terrific box out. And then Scalia hits it. One of the best three-point shooters in the country. Got the two, and it's only a one-point ball game.
So you withstand the first run if you're Indiana. You got to be able to answer runs, but you got to minimize the amount of run.
Fagan backed in to Meister. We have a whistle and a ball game. 10-9, South Carolina, timeout. Welcome back to Albany, where we go to today's Need to Know, brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. And this is all about South Carolina's dominance over the last 3 seasons. We started off with the national championship. They've only lost 3 games in those 3 seasons. Unbeaten last year, beating up on ranked opponents. Unbeaten last year until they got into the national semifinal, leading the nation this year in scoring margin. Iowa took them out in the Final Four, and right now they're back-to-back undefeated seasons. And over the last 3 seasons, no one has outscored teams more so than South Carolina. And they are certainly the favorite, the #1 overall seed, unbeaten on the season, barely escaped in the SEC tournament when Cardozo, of all people, hit a 3 to beat Tennessee.
And Pam, you look at this team and you watch them in practice, and this is a fairly young team. A lot of players who haven't been in this position before, and they're loose, they're free, they're enjoying themselves. Dawn Staley, sometimes they're a little too loose for her, right? They have to kind of rein them back in a little bit.
Parrish. Missed 7 games with a foot injury in mid-January to mid-February. Coach Moore said that kind of was a gut punch, but they were able to recover from that. Good look on the 3, and South Carolina with the answer.
Bree Hall's a difference maker. I mean, she really is. Not just what she can do on the defensive end of the floor, but no matter how she's shooting the ball throughout the course of the game, she always seems to hit the big one.
That's a tough shot for kids. Well, McNeil, good look away, but South Carolina was able to recover. Hits all alone on that side of the floor with Parrish. Shot clock at 10 for Wiley, gives it up, and they hit it. Another bucket, this one for Raven Johnson. 8-0 run, good response after Indiana closed.
Indiana, a team that likes to run a lot of different sets. So you're going to have to defend multiple actions. And Sarah Scalia, 43% from the three-point line, is able to get a little bit of space and knock it down.
One of the very best in the entire country. Scalia, 3 years at Minnesota, then
I get across.
Came over to Indiana, that's right. We saw that earlier today. Notre Dame forced Oregon State into a couple of turnovers with pressure in the backcourt. Oregon State with a win over the Irish. The winner of this game will get Oregon State. Good ball movement. The Kits couldn't quite get it, and then Parrish had it.
This is what makes this year's South Carolina team so different. Their ability to knock down shots consistently from the three-point line. The extra pass, Raven Johnson, the corner three as well. The answer for the Hoosiers from Sarah Scalia. But South Carolina, 4 for 5 from the three-point line to start the ball game.
That's the big difference maker for this team over what last year's teams and teams in the past had for Dawn Staley. They're averaging over 6.5 threes per game. By far the most under Staley since she took over.
And you got to pick your poison, right? And you've got Camila Cardoso who can do just that on the interior. And so you got to pack the paint to try to minimize her opportunities. But when you've got three-point shooters who can knock it down consistently, it sure makes it tough.
Mackenzie Holmes just picked up her second foul. That is big as Cardozo heads to the line where she's 68% free throw shooter on the season. For the 4th straight year, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. For more information, go to ncaa.com. Your home for all 90 NCAA championships. 1 out of 2 for Camilla, who missed the opening game of the tournament. Scuffle in the SEC championship game against LSU. LSU is in this region too.
They absolutely are. How fun is this going to be?
UCLA is here as well, and Iowa. Just a lot of great talent here in Albany. All sessions have been sold out in this building. We will hear from Terry Morin, now in her 10th year, 2-time Big Ten Coach of the Year. Holly Rowe is here, and we'll interview Coach coming up. Scalia likes that little step back three. That one.
And going to the right, which is awkward for a right-handed shooter. Typically, you like that step back going to the left.
Yeah. Caitlin Clark has kind of perfected that.
She sure has.
She will be playing here tomorrow.
Great hustle by Cardoso to get back into play.
And then it results in a Tessa Johnson bucket. How do you like that? The 6'7" Cardoso getting down on the floor.
Hey, you don't have the luxury against the South Carolina team to get beat on the 50-50 balls and the hustle plays.
Parrish missed from the outside. Pow. It was announced she will come back next year to use her last year of eligibility. And super freshman Malaysia Wiley. This game was tied at 12 apiece, and since then South Carolina has rolled.
I mean, this is outstanding hustle by Camila Cardoso to come from out of bounds and get an extra possession for the Gamecocks. Tessa Johnson on the receiving end gets an easy 2 and 4. Wiley, we're going to have to talk about this on-ball defense coverage in a timeout.
Welcome back here. Today's great plays presented by Great Clips.
Well, we talked about it in the open. The three-point shooting of this South Carolina ball club. 5 of 7 on the day so far, and that's 4 different players have knocked down a 3. Indiana's game plan to force them to hit contested shots from the three-point line, and South Carolina has responded early in this matchup.
5 of 7, that's 75% from distance for Carolina. This game had been tied at 12. Since then, a 14-3 run. And there is a great look at Malaysia Wiley, who head coach Dawn Staley says is a generational talent. And this is a kid from Columbia, as is Ashlyn Watkins. Said she remembers going to see games. She said it was a long time ago. She could barely remember who she saw. It was Tiffany Mitchell. So that was, she would go as a fan.
It wasn't that long ago.
Well, to her it was. When you're 18, that's a long time ago, right? But stayed home, played AAU ball with Watkins. They both stayed home.
Look at this defensive effort. I mean, up into the offensive players.
Shot clock dying. Offensive rebound to keep the possession alive by Meister. Now the cut to the basket and another block as the first quarter comes to a close. South Carolina up 26-15. The NCAA Women's Championship is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? And hitting shots from the outside has been key for Indiana, and just scoring in general, Steph. A big difference between their 26 wins and 5 losses.
I mean, look at it right there. It's the three-point shooting. It's exactly what it is. 42% in their wins, 27% in their losses. And if you want to have a chance to compete with South Carolina, you've got to hit a lot of threes, like double-digit threes. Indiana needs to hit at least 15, 16 threes to give themselves a chance.
Just 3 of 12 in the first quarter. Pam Ward, Stephanie White, and Holly Rowe joining you from Albany. A Sweet 16 matchup. Number 1 overall seed South Carolina taking on Indiana. The winner will get Oregon State in a couple of days. Oregon State with an impressive win over Notre Dame earlier today in this building. Great turnaround for the Beavers, who only won 13 games last year. A lot of them still sticking around to watch. Wiley at the free throw line.
You know what my favorite part about Terry Moore interview was when she said it's time for Lily Meister to put her big girl pants on. That is a Lynn Dunn euphemism.
It sure is, right?
If there ever was one. And Terry Moore, of course, played for Lynn Dunn at Purdue.
Oh, Raven Johnson just bowled over Amendola. No call. Lynn Dunn now working for the Indiana Fever, who have the first overall pick in the draft. What are you seeing?
Sarah Scalia, I mean, the whole play developing. She started on one side. You knew she was eventually coming back. First time a stagger screen, that time a triple screen.
Rebound out of bounds, stays with the Gamecocks. Scalia with an Indiana record this year. She's hit over 100 threes on the season, averaging over 3 threes per game.
When Terry Warren talked about the growth of Sarah Scalia, yes, she's a great scorer, but a year ago she had trouble staying on the floor because she wasn't defending. And Terry Warren challenged her, coached her, told her if she wanted to have more minutes on the floor, she needed to be a great defender as well as a great scorer.
And to her credit, she's done just that. Mackenzie Holmes told us that when Scalia played at Minnesota, the scouting report would say for Indiana about Scalia, doesn't guard anybody. Yeah. That has changed.
Yes, it has.
There's Scalia driving on Fagan, who blocked it. Just when you think you have daylight, it gets dark again.
I mean, this is an outstanding South Carolina defensive team, and you think you're by, but you're not. Fagan, great job of staying in the play and getting that block.
Off the inbounds. Amendola, the freshman from Texas, was the high school player of the year down there last year. Fagan, another big body they can bring in. More McNeil. Scalia, nice pass. Can she beat Fulwiley? Yes, she can. Johnson handling the ball. Pow on the bench right now for Carolina. Outside shot. Goes over the backboard.
Well, great job securing the defensive board, and that allows Indiana to get out in transition. Got to find a way to get some easy buckets, and that's one right there. I mean, we're talking about the most efficient offensive team in the country in Indiana and the most efficient defensive team in the country in South Carolina. So finding ways to get high percentage looks and to knock them down, critical for the Hoosiers.
Indiana leading the nation in field goal percentage at just under 51%. Mackenzie Holmes back in with the 2 personal fouls, as is Cardozo. More McNeil with the 3. Gets the lead down to 6. It's a 7-0 run. Tessa Johnson quiets down the Indiana faithful.
Tessa Johnson coming off a game against North Carolina where she had 11 points. Again, another player who can come in and just fill it up offensively, knocking down shots.
Pass was too ambitious trying to get it into Mackenzie Holmes.
I mean, Chloe Moore McNeil early in her career was not shooting this shot. It was not a shot that Terry Morin wanted her to shoot. She has continued to work on her game. Now she is lethal from the three-point line. And Terry Morin talking about Chloe Moore McNeil and Mackenzie Holmes. They didn't come in as highly recruited kids. They have been the 2 most developed players in the history of her program.
Those are working the baseline nicely. Holmes wanted a travel call. Moore McNeil with the ball in her hands had a triple-double this year against Michigan State, the 4th in the history of IU. There's a 3. Garzon. Watkins gets it over into the corner. Right back to Ashlyn, who calmly put it into the bucket.
Such patience. The ball goes side to side. It gets a paint touch. It comes back out, attacking a closeout. I mean, excellent offensive execution.
Contact in front of the South Carolina bench, and it's a foul on Watkins.
Terry Morin told Holly, we got to knock down open shots, and Yarden Garzon, this is one of the best things that she does, knocking down threes and a little drive and drop, rotations a little bit late. Ashlyn Watkins able to get the easy 2.
Watkins also has 2 personal fouls. Dawn Staley is going to look down like all the options to get Watkins some rest with the 2 fouls. McNeil picked up her dribble. Here's Scalia. Lauren McNeil with Bree Hall on the deck. Hits another 3. Hall driving on Holmes. Went for the block and got it. Remember, she's playing with 2 fouls, so a little risky. That's a foul on Raven Johnson.
That was a good call, Pam. That's a foul.
That's a foul. Thank you. I'm a professional.
And a great job of Chloe Moore McNeil of coming to meet that pass, because that could have easily been a steal for 2 on the other end of the floor.
And More McNeil. Look how fired up she is over there on the sidelines. Indiana has hit its last 3 threes after missing 10 of its first 13. Crucial to staying in this game. And that's a travel. 6 turnover now for the Hoosiers. So Holmes goes out, and Lily Meister, she of having to put on her big girl pants, is back in. Lily is a sophomore. The average is about 11 minutes per game, pardon me, for Indiana.
When you think about the opportunity for growth for Lily Meister going against Mackenzie Holmes every single day in practice.
And now she's got Cardozo.
And you see the change in the on-ball screen coverage, but there is no defense for that. Again, continue to be impressed with South Carolina's ability to get to the second, third, fourth action in offense.
Another turnover. Raven Johnson comes away with it and is held up in the backcourt. Foul upcoming on Gozon.
Well, the Indiana Hoosiers had an answer. Chloe Moore McNeil wanted that one. Knocking down a 3, but on the other end, Camila Cardoso. There is no defense for this.
One thing that Indiana needs to do is try to guard Camila Cardoso, which is next to impossible no matter who the opponent.
I mean, Camila Cardoso is doing a really good job of getting her low block position, of staying aggressive. This is what Dawn Staley wants. She doesn't want her overpassing, expecting a double team. She wants her surveying and continuing to put pressure on the defense. There's not one player who can check Camila Cardoso one-on-one, and she's gone to work early.
And Indiana hanging in there, outscoring them by 3, and you heard Andrea Carter in the studio said, yeah, Mackenzie Holmes already with 2 personal fouls. She is on the bench right now, getting some extra rest around the timeout, but important to try to keep her out of foul trouble as much as possible. South Carolina with so much depth. 9 Gamecocks has scored. Jelena Agumake and Al Duncan in the studio for us. Going to be a great game. 2 more games coming up later today from Portland. Day 1 of the Sweet 16. Johnson looking for somewhere to go. Cardozo inside to Kitts, who is fouled as she hits the shot.
Again, just great recognition by South Carolina. There's a switch, so now there's a guard that has to try to check Chloe Kitts one-on-one. Camila Cardozo recognizes it. Chloe Kitts gets an opportunity to get an and one. I mean, Chloe Kitts, 21 points against Presbyterian in the first round, 12 points, 4 for 5 from the floor in the second round as well. I mean, she's a player who can continue to give you production off of the bench.
In that game against Presbyterian in the first round, hit all 9 of her shots, completed the 3-point play to get the lead up to 11. Bench points, not surprisingly, in favor of South Carolina because they seem to have 20 people on the bench. Here's Holmes, in and out. Pow back in. Cardozo setting the screen. Johnson rimmed it out, and that's an over-the-back call on Kitts. First foul on Chloe. And Staley over on the sideline.
I think Dawn Staley has a lot of fun with this team. You know, there are times because of their youth that they probably drive her crazy. But she can coach them. She can challenge them. They can keep her a little bit loose with that youth as well.
He's had to have some tough conversations with players. Holmes got stuffed by Cardozo. Johnson and Pow on the court at the same time. Kitts. Powell too tall for Kitts, but Johnson rescues it, puts it up, and in. Even when they seem like it's becoming an empty possession, they get points. 7-0 run. Their zone backing up on Kitts. Tough shot, and she hit it.
Basket by number 12, Jordan, their zone.
Well, the Hoosiers doing a good job of continuing to not allow runs to get into double figures. Got to be able to answer with scores of your own, but execution for the Gamecocks in the half court has been outstanding, and that possession was no different.
Got it into Cardozo, who is now into double figures. Their zone. Hall is a really good defender. They called that an offensive foul.
I mean, watch this block by Camila Cardozo on the other end of the floor. She got it before it even got out of Mackenzie Holmes' hands. And then on the other end, you mentioned it, a broken play. Raven Johnson able to come up with the ball, and then execution. South Carolina, Indiana playing this gap defense, so South Carolina able to move the ball wherever they want to, and they are just picking the Hoosiers apart.
Cardozo with 11 points, 5 of 6 from the floor. Nice baseline move by Bree Hall. Don Staley says Hall is the ultimate teammate. Finds other ways to impact the game with her teammates, gets everybody involved. Holmes for 3, nope. Here's Kitts. As Hall picks herself up. For Wiley. Wiley probably should have shot it, tried to get it into Cardozo. And now Parrish cut off by Kitts.
You better get Holmes a touch while you can.
Yep, because Cardozo's not on her. McKenzie recognized and finished with her left hand.
And that's how she's going to have to get touches. She's going to have to get down in transition. She's going to have to force some switches.
So Wiley got fouled on the other end. Mackenzie Holmes had missed her first 5 shots before she hit that one.
You know, South Carolina was just cruising through the season. Number 1, beating everybody by big margins, and they started to hit a little lull. They said they got comfortable or relaxed part of the season, and they were down a few games at the half, getting out to some slow starts, but nearly losing a game this season against Tennessee. The SEC tournament game came right down to a last-second shot. Camila Cardozo had to hit an improbable three-pointer to win that game. And Tahina Paopao told us since that moment, they have completely shifted their mindset. She said, we don't ever want that feeling again of thinking we had lost that game in that moment, and now the games mean even more. That has gotten their attention. They have refocused, reconnected, and determined that they will never feel that way again. We've seen that here in the first half. It got a little tight, and they just locked in, focused, and here they are with a big lead.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You know, sometimes with young teams, you can take moments for granted. Some days don't show up with everything that you need from a mentality standpoint, and that woke this team up, and they have been on a tear ever since.
After that near loss to Tennessee, Coach Staley said they exhaled after that. They took a few days off after the SEC tournament, and things have certainly changed. 2 convincing wins in the first 2 rounds of this tournament, and they're up here by 15. Sydney Parrish was called for an offensive foul on the other end for Indiana, her second. Paopao taking her time, look back at Coach Staley, who said go. So Wiley, Cardozo just there to clean it up. Moore McNeil couldn't handle it cleanly, and then Cardozo swatted it out of bounds. South Carolina has 4 scoring runs of at least 7 points in a row.
And if you get them to miss a shot, they're so good on the offensive glass. They're able to continue to give themselves possessions.
It's a 15-4 run by the Gamecocks to take their biggest lead of the afternoon, up 49-32. Cardozo leading the way. She has 13 points. 9 Gamecocks have scored. They're up big at the half. Let's go over to Holly.
Well, Bree, your team came out, in particular you, hitting threes early in this game. How does that completely change how teams have to guard the three-point line and Camilla?
I think it makes it hard, honestly. I think a lot of people are used to packing into paint against us, but, we've been working all season long on our three-point shot, so I think it makes it really hard.
Indiana made a little run there. What changed with your team to kind of separate going into halftime?
I think it's honestly our defense. We're really getting all the rebounds and just playing really solid defense and guarding that three-point like Indiana does.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, Bree Hall, terrific for the Gamecocks so far. They're up by 17 at the break. Let's go to the studio now for the Dove halftime report. Take a look at our game track brought to you by Invesco QQQ. South Carolina has had 9 players score. 5 of them have at least 5 points. 3-point shooting, so crucial. South Carolina at a high clip. Mackenzie Holmes just 4 points tonight, and she's got in some foul trouble.
Well, it's tough to ask Mackenzie Holmes to check Camila Cardozo one-on-one and then try to go against her on the offensive end of the floor. They're going to have to continue to find ways to move her around, to find her when she's got mismatches. But other players for Indiana have got to step up.
And as you can see, the tension is just killing South Carolina right now.
I'm telling you, yesterday in practice, it's the same. This is a group that is really loose. They enjoy themselves. They enjoy one another. They understand when it's time to lock in, and if they don't, if they have their moments, Dawn Staley will quickly remind them.
Yes, they're under no uncertain terms. Pow Pow with the basketball in her hands. Again, the winner will get Oregon State on Sunday with a trip to the Final Four on the line. Pow Pow just with 3 points in the first half, but there's so much depth on this team. Watkins inside hits it.
Ashlyn Watkins had 2 early fouls and sat a majority of that first half. I like the fact that Dawn Staley goes to her and gets her established early in the second.
Moore McNeil hit a couple of big shots from the outside. Holmes now 0 for 4 from distance in the game.
Well, not something you typically see from Mackenzie Holmes, but because of the matchup with Camila Cardozo, she's open and she needs to take those shots.
Now Holmes takes it away. Sydney Parrish up to their zone. She is capable from 3-point range, and boy, that just was halfway down. Holmes was just bowled over Cardozo with no obstruction after that. Biggest lead of the game now, up to 21 points. And you mentioned how unusual it is for Mackenzie Holmes to take 4 threes in this game. She only took 8 threes all season before today.
Well, I was asking Terry Moore about the extent of Mackenzie Holmes' range, and she said she works on her 3 every day. She's got to be able to be in pick-and-pop situations to try to get some openings, because she's not going to get a one-on-one on the block.
That's a tough look for Scalia. Rebounds her own miss and rolls it in.
Basket for number 14, Sarah Scalia.
Scalia and Holmes, the 2 Indiana Hoosiers who are using up their final year of eligibility this season. Powell has already said she will come back to South Carolina next year. Fires away. Here's Scalia. And that one goes over to the bench for the turnover. 10 turnovers now for the Hoosiers, and Terry Morin, her club winners of 26 games this year. They lost in the Big Ten quarterfinal, but in the regular season finale, Mackenzie Holmes actually tweaked her knee. So she was certainly not the Mackenzie Holmes that we're used to seeing, has a brace on that left knee.
Well, if you remember last year, had the same issue with her knee. It's a problem that she's been dealing with throughout her career, and there's another 3 by Raven Johnson.
Yeah, it was that 3 last year. One reason why they went out in the second round to Miami. Miami went on as a 9 seed all the way to the Elite 8. Happy retirement, by the way, Katie Meyer.
Yes.
We're going to miss you. That is in, and a chance for a 4-point play for Garzone. Ashlyn Watkins commits the foul.
Terry Moore always talks about yarding Garzone, and just no moment rattles her. And here she just catches behind the handoff. Ashlyn Watkins goes out to try to contest and gets in the landing space, making contact with Garzone.
Watkins staying in there with the 3 fouls.
Well, Garzone is playing this season with a lot on her mind. She is from Israel. Her family lives about 50 miles away from Tel Aviv, and as that conflict continues to rage on, she's concerned about her friends, her family that are in that conflict zone. Her teammates are keeping her focused and grounded. They're there for her when she needs them, but this is a very trying time for her as she worries about her loved ones in Israel.
Powell from distance, her second 3 of the game.
Yarding Garzone's sister in the military, and in Israel, as soon as you graduate high school, you're required to serve military time, so she is constantly in tune with what's going on with her family and friends back home.
That's just the second field goal for Holmes. Underneath, that's a terrific look. Bree Hall with another unselfish play. Cardozo with another basket. Garzone gets around Cardozo, and then Parrish knocks one home from the top of the circle. Indiana's hit 4 straight shots, but the problem is South Carolina's not missing either. Powell triggered the 3. Tips away from Watkins as they tried to get it inside to Holmes. Johnson directing traffic. Always a good choice. Watkins flashes in the lane. Holmes running the floor hard because she knew Cardozo was behind her and they missed her.
Yeah, missed opportunity to get her one-on-one with Watkins.
And Holmes looks a little gassed right now. Parrish, again, her second 3 of the half.
We talk so much about the South Carolina team, but I continue to be impressed with just the way that Raven Johnson is running the team. Getting him into actions, getting them touches for Camila Cardozo inside, calling the right plays.
Air ball for Hall, rebounded by Parrish. Parrish has scored the last 8 points now for the Hoosiers. There's a timeout. Indiana back within 13.
Welcome back to Albany. It is time for the Get More, brought to you by Geico. And to get more, we had to show you a little comparison. Watching some old Dawn Staley highlights lately, and I was like, man, this looks familiar. Look at her freshman with the flavor. Lay with the butter is so good, but she reminds me of Dawn Staley back in her prime where she was tearing it up for Virginia. They have so much speed, creativity, and flair, whether it's them scoring or dropping dimes, getting others involved. Just had to bring it back through the time machine because I think it's fun to see just how similar these two are and why Dawn can be such a good coach for this young freshman.
And Dawn Staley was, as you said, Holly, so terrific in her career at the University of Virginia. There you see the comparisons. Dawn called on to do some more scoring for that team. Tammy Reese was in the backcourt with her, the Burge twins, Dina Evans.
I remember watching Dawn Staley in the Final Four. I believe it was in Knoxville at that time, and I mean, she was so flashy, yet under control, and so competitive and fiery.
And she has continued to be that way on the sidelines as a head coach. There's a tie-up. Malaysia Fulwiley, it was interesting to watch Malaysia's face as Holly was showing her that video, and Malaysia says that she watched videos, didn't watch a lot of full games, but would watch videos of different players and would kind of pick up moves and then go out to a court on her own and work on those moves she saw on video.
It's the best way to get better, right? Go out on your own and practice and be creative.
Good hesitation by Garzone. It's an 11-point advantage. It's a 10-0 run for IU. And then the block by Holmes. No whistle before that. Loud in here. Scalia called for the foul out on the perimeter. That is her first. Watkins able to get it out to the perimeter. Pow working on Scalia. And then Kitts just, boy, Sydney Parrish, what a third quarter. 3-on-2. Parrish said, give it to me and I'll shoot a three. That one was just off after she had hit a couple during this run.
Well, Indiana doing a much better job on the defensive end of the floor, being disruptive. But there's Pow, right? It seems like every time her team needs a bucket or to stop momentum, Te-Hina Pow is involved in a play in some way.
Coach Staley says Pow, low maintenance, high performance. Just what you want in a player.
Love that.
Parrish goes by Pow, but then ran into Kitts. For Wiley, there's a human highlight reel, left that one short. Holmes really working against Fagan. Fagan just picked up her first personal foul. Kitts goes out. Cardozo back in. Coach Staley, that is a pixelated pattern, would you say?
I like that jacket.
Yeah.
Nice. You know, my kids play Minecraft, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Minecraft thing.
There's zone over the outstretched hands of Fagan. Bother that just enough.
Well, Camila Cardozo back in the ball game. You certainly have to expect her to get a touch this possession.
17 points, 8 of 9 from the floor for Camilla. Inside, they go to Fagan. Wow, what a 1-2 punch. And Fagan got fouled.
The timing of the duck in by Fagan, perfect. Wait till the ball gets across the midline. Great job of using her body. Strong finish. And Sanaya Fagan is one of those players that throughout the course of this season has continued to earn more playing time. Dawn Staley talking to us about her early in the season, about she's doing all the right things. We just haven't had an opportunity because of the play of other players. Now when she gets the opportunity, taking full advantage.
Parrish picked up her third foul on that last play for Indiana. She has the ball now. Vargasser. Clock into single digits now for Moore McNeil. Backs up over Cardozo and hits the three. She was 3 of 4 from distance today. And now Mackenzie Holmes. So it's Cardozo, then Fagan. And Cardozo called for the foul going over the back of Vargasser. That's the first on her.
Well, it's an Indiana Hoosier team that's going to keep battling. They're going to keep fighting. No, they've certainly grown throughout the course of the year. Talking about Chloe Moore McNeil and her growth, you see it right there, her leadership. She has been someone who's been quiet. She's earned her way into this position. Now she's much more vocal. Called out her team after the embarrassing loss at Stanford. This team has responded. They take a lot of pride in one another and playing for one another.
Bree Hall has just been called for a foul. Her first. Team foul number 5. Check that. 4. Next one will send Indiana to the line. Pardon me. Knocked out of bounds by Johnson. South Carolina being outscored by 5 in this quarter. McNeil wanted it back. Goes to her left, puts it high off the glass to avoid Cardozo. And it's a 10-point game. South Carolina has led by as many as 22. For Wiley. Holmes rebound. And now Indiana can hold it for the last shot of the quarter. It's a 15-4 Hoosier run. Holmes with the screen. Garzone goes around everybody. Cardozo blocks it. And then a foul on the rebound attempt on South Carolina.
Chloe Moore McNeil, a couple of big buckets for the Hoosiers. This time going to the rim. Uses the hoop as another defender, able to finish with the left. And you see the vocal Chloe Moore McNeil, and this is a role, again, she's had to grow into, but now taking great pride in being the leader of this ball club.
Second foul on Bree Hall sends Holmes to the line. NCAA Men's Basketball Championship Sweet 16 continues tonight on CBS and TBS. For more information on tournament game times and networks, go to ncaa.com. Oh, Holmes missed them both to end the quarter.
At the end of the third quarter, South Carolina 65.
Indiana outscoring South Carolina 23-16 in that quarter. When we come back, we'll hear from Dawn Staley. Unbeaten South Carolina having fun so far, but Indiana has cut their lead down to 10 as we enter the fourth quarter in this Sweet 16 game. Here is Holly Rowe with Dawn Staley.
Well, Coach, Indiana on a bit of a run right now. What concerns you the most about their getting back into this game?
Threes. That's the way they get back in the basketball game. We got to get a little bit more aggressive down here in the paint, get Camilla some touches, and see what happens.
You're going to sit down and talk to your team right now. What will be the things you focus on other than that?
Other than that, I mean, we got to put some points on the scoreboard. I thought we settled for some ill-advised shots, so we'll clean that up, get some good shots. Usually good shots go in. But we got to defend.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Holly.
Indiana hit 4 of its 9 threes in that third quarter, as they outscored them, as you see, 23-16. South Carolina controlling the paint, as one would expect. Pam Ward, Stephanie White, and Holly Rowe joining you. The winner of this game will get Oregon State coming up on Sunday. Oregon State with a very exciting win over Notre Dame to get to the Elite Eight. Kenzie Holmes missed 2 free throws at the end of the third quarter that could have made it an 8-point ball game, and Fagan starts off the fourth quarter with a turnover. Carolina led this game by as many as 22 points with 7.5 minutes left to go in the third before Indiana went on a big run. Holmes challenging Cardozo, who has 3 blocks on the day. And then, boy, Holmes crashed to the floor and gets up holding onto her lower back.
And I'm not sure who touched it right here, but Indiana likes to run this scissors action. Didn't get what they wanted. Yeah, it looks like Raven Johnson gets a hand in there.
Parrish able to chase it down with the shot clock down to single digits.
Offense. Yep. And Indiana had done a better job in the third quarter of taking care of the basketball. Only 2 turnovers, and that's what gives you an opportunity to get some scores. And Bree Hall, great job defensively right here. Yarden Garzone got going a little bit in that third quarter, and you see the extension in the push-off.
Hall tripped over her shoe for good measure. That's 3 fouls on Garzone now. Carolina with 18 points off of turnovers. Nice play. McNeil stuck her hand in. They didn't call it a held ball as Cardozo was able to rip it away quickly. Bree Hall, short. Here's more McNeil.
Yeah, you got to try to get out in transition if you're Indiana.
Scalia to Holmes. Throws it up with her left hand. A little rainbow hook.
Mackenzie Holmes is so good with both hands. And well, one time she had one-on-one right there with Cardozo and had a little bit of an advantage. And you're the Hoosiers. You got to lock down here on the defensive end. If you're South Carolina, Dawn Staley mentioned it in her interview. We got to get Camilla some touches inside.
8-point advantage. Another jumper, another miss. Tessa Johnson, and a foul on the Gamecocks.
Well, Mackenzie Holmes in transition didn't have the drop step because Camilla Cardozo recovered, but she's so good at reading her counters. A little bit of a shot fake, a left-handed hook shot, she's able to get it off, and the Hoosiers able to get a turnover on the other end.
Fagan just committed her second foul for Carolina.
That's a hook. Yeah, that's a hook on Johnson.
Raven Johnson's second. Watkins comes in for Fagan. South Carolina with a couple of quick fouls.
I think Indiana's got to find a way to get Scalia a touch too. She's been quiet in the second half. They typically run her off of a lot of screening action.
There she is with the ball. Guarded by Johnson. Back to Holmes, who took steps with Cardozo.
Missed opportunities. Missed opportunities for Indiana. You can't afford those when you're playing a team like South Carolina. And now Dawn Staley calling the play. Again, looks to get a touch for Camilla Cardozo.
Bree Hall missed everything.
Those are the ill-advised shots that Dawn Staley's talking about. They were hot early. 5 threes in the first quarter, only 2 since. So again, if you're Indiana, you're picking your poison. You still want them shooting those shots.
Holmes is in the paint without Cardozo on her. Now she comes up to set a screen. Parrish for 3. The Hoosiers are only down 5.
How big has Sydney Parrish been in the second half for the Indiana Hoosiers?
Watkins driving on Parrish, lost it. Tie up, possession arrow, points to the Hoosiers.
For Chloe Moore McNeil, it looked like she wanted a clear out because she had a mismatch. She draws a secondary defender, and Sydney Parrish steps up and knocks down her third 3 of the second half.
The advantage is only 5. There's a good look at Sydney Parrish. 2 years at Indiana after a couple of years at the University of Oregon, came back home. She's from the Indianapolis area. Garzone for 3. Just off the back rim, and nothing but white jerseys underneath for the rebound. That would have cut it to 2, and this place would have exploded.
You got to get Cardozo a touch here. You've got to get her a look inside. She doesn't have to shoot it, but she's got to touch it.
Timeout taken by Dawn Staley. A significant lead has been whittled down to 5. We'll take a timeout. Sweet 16 in Albany.
Indiana shooting lights out in the second half, but look at the soft defense that South Carolina's playing right now. Going under on the handoff, Yarden Garzone knocks down a 3. The space right here for Chloe Moore McNeil. We got 2 bigs trying to guard in the 2-man, and in transition, Sydney Parrish, a little bit of a pass fake and a wide open lane to the rim. And here on the clear out in the ISO, helping off with a ball side corner. Dawn Staley talked about in her interview with Holly. We've got to tighten it up on the defensive end of the floor.
A lot at stake, not just a Elite Eight appearance. South Carolina going for the first undefeated season in women's basketball since Brianna Stewart's last season at UConn. They've been up by 22, and they're trying to get to their fourth straight Elite Eight. But Indiana has hit 11 threes against them. That's tied for the most that South Carolina has given up in a game all year.
In a 20-4 run. South Carolina still not able to get Cardoso. They finally get it to her down low. Every time.
Yep. They did go away from that. Even though Dawn Staley told Holly Rowe that get her more touches. They continue to throw up jumpers.
Well, there's nobody that can guard her. You got to keep giving her touches. She doesn't have to shoot it every time. As Carzone gets the nice bounce. But that forces the defense to collapse. Cardoso's a willing and capable passer. She will get it back out if it's not there. Watch the pin in.
Nice swim move there by the freshman Tessa Johnson.
See, that's what happens. You get sucked into helping off of that big that makes the post entry pass, and then it opens up the little pin in.
Holmes does not look to shoot the three that time. Scalia misses to the right, and then a foul on Johnson, Tessa Johnson.
Sarah Scalia has not been able to get herself going in the second half, but Cardoso has. You give her a touch, she's going to make a play. And on the other end, Garzone, a great job of creating a little bit of space, and then she gets the friendly bounce.
Second chance on this trip down the floor for the Hoosiers. Holmes with the switch now has Watkins on her, and then she dribbled it out of bounds.
The timing was just off a little bit to get Mackenzie Holmes, and it looks like Ashlyn Watkins stripped that off of her.
14th turnover for Indiana. Pow with the floater, just rimmed out. Great hustle by Watkins to save the possession.
And Cardoso to keep it alive.
Cardoso fouled by Holmes as we have a timeout in Albany. The NCAA Women's Championship is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? Indiana now only down by 7 after trailing by 22. And Steph White, you said coming into this game, the Hoosiers would need a lot of threes to win.
Well, they've got 11 so far in this ball game, and they've been exceptional in the second half, finding the open threes, knocking them down. It's going to take, I said 15 plus. It certainly is, and they're doing a good job. But you can't afford to have missed opportunities in terms of half-court offense. You got to get a shot up every time.
Today's Star Story is brought to you by Honda. Sydney Parrish has been contributing. She has 4 of their 11 made threes, and Cardoso, when she gets the ball in the low block, has been unstoppable. Indiana trailed by as many as 22 points. If they come back to win, it would be the largest comeback victory in the history of this tournament. Back in 2017, Texas A&M was down 21-10 and came back to win. Still 4 minutes and 50 seconds left to go. Cardoso at the free throw line after being fouled by Mackenzie Holmes right before the last break. For the 4th straight year, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. For more information, go to ncaa.com, your home for all 90 NCAA championships. 1 out of 2 for Cardoso. She's got 20 points. Parrish
got a hand on it.
It's deflected but saved in by Cardoso.
Got to get Cardoso a touch again.
Guarded by Holmes, who has 3 fouls. Shot clock at 5 for Watkins. And it's taken away on the baseline by Scalia. 5 on 4 right now momentarily for Indiana. Parrish for 3. Sydney Parrish gets it back to a 5-point deficit.
Pam, it's baffling to me how Camila Cardozo's not getting a touch. You've got someone who cannot be stopped one-on-one, who's shown that she's a willing, capable, and good passer from the low block position.
Single digits on the shot clock again.
And she's calling for it. She's calling for the ball, but she's getting it off the block now. Get it to the wing.
Now she's in the block. Garzone came over to help, and they ran out of time.
I mean, this is terrific defensive rotation by Sarah Scalia, textbook. And then you're able to get out in transition. Sydney Parrish, who has been so hot in the second half, stays that way and knocks down a big 3.
Parrish 5 of 10 on her threes this afternoon. 19 points, one off her season high. McNeil picked up her dribble. Parrish kicks it out. Holmes wide open. Short. Good look for Holmes.
Sure was.
Raven Johnson dribbling in and rolls in a tough one.
Raven Johnson doesn't take a lot of shots, but she takes the right shots, and she makes them.
Lead back to 7.
Scalia coming back in the corner.
Going off screens, over Cardozo, nothing but net for Sarah Scalia. And now it's just a 4-point lead. Dawn Staley letting her team play on. Now they go into Cardozo.
Every time. She needs to get a touch every single time down the floor.
Inside 2 minutes to go. Parrish diving into the middle where she's fouled while shooting.
Indiana likes to run this play. Scalia comes off right behind Yarden Garzone, who tight curls it. Defense gets lost. Sarah Scalia knocks down a big one. They've run this play a couple of times throughout the game, and on the other end, just give the ball to Cardozo inside and let her go to work. Dawn Staley has said, I've challenged her to be more aggressive. She has shown that no one can stop her. Keep feeding the big girl.
Sydney Parrish, 78% free throw shooter on the season. Her first trip to the line today.
Sid Parrish told us yesterday, I've been thinking a lot about this offseason, the 2-week break in between the Big Ten tournament and the NCAA tournament. She said, I saw a lot of teams posting pictures that they were on vacation. We were back in the gym working our butts off. She said, I've been thinking about that and knowing just how ready we are. Don't think anybody thought that'd be 4 points in South Carolina, but here they are.
Here they are indeed. Pow Pow missed.
Indiana doing a much better job of securing the defensive glass.
Scalia. McNeil, Cardozo knocked it away momentarily, but that gave Holmes a clear path.
How about that? Not by design, but probably the easiest shot Mackenzie Holmes has had all night long.
And with just under 1 minute to go, it's a 2-point game, and the MVP arena erupting.
I mean, not the best angle for that pass. Cardozo on the high side, but the deflection actually took her out of position and got Mackenzie Holmes probably the easiest bucket she's had the entire ball game. And Pam, it's been offensive execution for Indiana. Again, lead the nation in field goal percentage. They've gotten a lot of high percentage looks. They didn't make them in the first quarter. They've been making them in the second half.
Certainly has been a different story. They have hit 58% from the floor in the second half, including 7 of 14 threes, to come back from 22 down.
And again, if you're South Carolina, Camila Cardozo a touch. It doesn't have to be on the front side. You can run an action to get it to her on the backside off of a ball reversal. Indiana continuing to play in the gap. You can move the basketball wherever you want to. She doesn't have to shoot it, but she's got to touch it.
23 seconds on the shot clock. Raven Johnson looking for someone. Yeah, Watkins just broke free. Cardozo back out. Johnson for three. Huge.
How about it? Raven Johnson a year ago was waved off at the three-point line. Big time bucket by Raven Johnson.
5-point advantage. Or McNeil over to Holmes, who hits a tough runner. Johnson slows it down now with a 3-point lead and about 5 seconds difference between the two clocks.
Well, Raven Johnson understanding time and score, slows it down. I mean, this is big time shot. No hesitation whatsoever by Raven Johnson. You know, now you're Indiana. There's a 4.5-second difference. They're going to continue to foul, but Pow Pow's not the one you want to get the ball. An 86% free throw shooter. You know, there was a time there, there's a little over 5-second difference. I'm not sure Indiana had to foul, right? But you worry about offensive rebounding. They still have fouls to give. So trying to extend the game.
Parrish's turn to commit a foul. Her fourth.
That's her fourth personal. Team's fifth of the
That is team foul number 5. It puts South Carolina in the bonus, and Raven Johnson just hit a three, just her 22nd three of the year in this her 34th game.
Got to box out. Got to box out if you're Indiana, because if Raven Johnson doesn't make this shot, you got to secure the rebound.
Got a big one. Could get it back to a 2-possession game. Indiana still has 2 timeouts left after this one. Both teams in the bonus. Ashlyn Watkins doing some talking in the huddle. All right, so Indiana has the ball down 4.
I mean, you need a quick score. You got to have a quick score now. The way they've shot the ball and how many options they have off of off-ball screening action. I like off-ball screening action. You can get yourself a quick 2, or you can maybe get yourself a 3. But you got to be talking offense, get a score, then we got to foul right away.
Indiana trying to get back to the Elite 8 for only the second time in its history. And South Carolina back-to-back unbeaten regular seasons. They had it spoiled in the Final Four by Iowa last year, and here they are in the Sweet 16 in a dogfight with Indiana. More McNeil inbounds.
You've got timeouts if you have trouble getting the ball inbounds.
Winner gets Oregon State on Sunday. Here we go. Must-score situation for the Hoosiers. More McNeil. Fouled.
Yep, he put pressure on South Carolina to defend without fouling. Chloe Moore McNeil has been good at getting to the rim. She goes up, and you see just coming over the top, Raven Johnson comes down on the elbow of Chloe Moore McNeil. Chloe Moore McNeil is left-handed. That's still a tough shot to finish if you stay straight up.
McNeil's first trip to the line this afternoon. out of 2. Down to a 3-point advantage with just over 16 seconds left to go. Dawn Staley calls a timeout. South Carolina advances the ball into the front court.
Well, you've got to try to get a 5-second call if you're Indiana. Then you got to foul right away if the ball comes in. You don't want the ball to get into Tahina Paopau's hands. So you want to make sure that you're denying her the basketball, allow anyone else to get it. You know, Tessa Johnson, if she comes in the ball game, she's an 85% free throw shooter. So if you have both of those in the ball game, it makes it really difficult. And it looks like she might be coming in the ball game.
Everybody else no better than 69% for South Carolina. I want to remind you that coming up, plenty more basketball. Cameron Brink and Stanford taking on NC State. First of 2 Sweet 16 games coming your way tonight from Portland, Oregon. And meanwhile, boy, Albany, this is off to a tremendous start. Notre Dame just getting nipped by Oregon State in our first game. And now South Carolina holding on here for dear life against Indiana. They were up 14 at the half, led by as many as 22. Foul on the perimeter, and that's Tessa Johnson, who you talked about, the freshman from Minnesota, who's hitting 85% from the floor.
So the team is on the limit. Into the game for Indiana, number 33, Sydney Parrish. Number 54,
Mackenzie Holmes, what a career she has had
to live for South
for
Carolina,
Indiana.
Number 5, Tessa Johnson.
And now the true freshman. Johnson goes to the line. Sydney Parrish has just been sent to the Indiana bench. She's got some blood on her leg that will be quickly bandaged. Or at least cleaned off.
They weren't fast enough with the wrap over there.
No.
If there's a miss on this free throw, you have to get the rebound if you're Indiana. They have timeouts.
Nothing but net for the freshman to get the lead back up to 4. Indiana calls its second to last timeout.
Indiana calls 30 seconds.
Situation where you don't need a 3.
I mean, it's a 2-possession game, so if you have a quick 3, sure, you're going to take it. But again, put some pressure on the defense. Look to attack right away. It's got to be a quick score. You don't have time to run multiple actions once the ball comes in bounds. You can run some multiple actions before it comes in. But the way they've been shooting the 3, if you can get a quick one, yes, take it. If not, you got to get it to the rim.
South Carolina 34-0 on the season. They've had some close calls, not many. Some slow starts. They got off to a great start here today, but it's Indiana that has really come back incredibly here in the second
They
half.
really have. They really have. They've shown resilience, shown toughness. If you're South Carolina, you say no 3s, no fouls. 2s don't hurt us. We've got a timeout. We can advance the basketball. No 3s, no fouls.
Both teams in the bonus. Warren McNeil guarded by Raven Johnson. Running Scalia off a screen. Garzone got it blocked by Watkins. Took a couple of seconds off the clock, but it's still Indiana ball.
What a play by Ashlyn Watkins. My goodness, she covered some ground.
Warren McNeil over to Scalia.
How'd it go?
Oh, Cardozo's out on her.
We don't have time for this.
Scalia misses, rebound. Scalia. Watkins grabs it as time expires. And the South Carolina Gamecocks escape with a 79-75 win. They're going to the Elite Eight for the 4th straight time.
Well, certainly what an outstanding effort by the Indiana Hoosiers to be able to close that gap and make this a ball game. South Carolina, too much Camila Cardozo, and how about multiple players hitting big-time shots in key moments for the Gamecocks?